stop. Before you scroll past, I need you to hear something. Something that is going to flip everything you thought you knew about who is really in your corner. Because here is the question I want you sitting with right now as you watch this. What if the person in your life who everybody told you to stay away from was the only person who was ever truly on your side? Stay with me, because this story will answer that. And by the end, you will never look at a difficult person the same way again. In the village of Yosola, there were two kinds of women, and everybody knew exactly which kind was which. There was Faki, the daughter of the wealthiest cloth merchant in the village, soft-spoken, graceful, the kind of woman who walked into a room and made everybody feel calm. And then there was Adoni. Now listen, Adoni was not ugly, not even close, but her character was so sour. It could curdle fresh milk on a warm morning. She was a fire that flat out refused to be put out. Her father was Baba Segu, a humble palm wine tapper, a simple man, a good man. But Adoni walked through that village like she owned every inch of ground her feet touched. Now, picture this, a busy market morning, buyers and sellers everywhere, the smell of pepper and smoked fish in the air, the sound of bargaining and laughter, and then, cutting through all of it, one voice, Mama Toby, you are a thief, flat out thief, with no fear of God. That was Adoni, Mama Toby, a respected elder, a grandmother who had been selling peppers at that market for 30 years, adjusted her wrapper, hands shaking. Adoni, please, just lower your voice. Only raise the price a little. Fuel costs are up. Fuel! Adoni clapped her hands so hard, the sound cracked like a whip. Does pepper drink gasoline? You are selling rotten peppers for the price of gold, and you are standing here talking about fuel. A young man stepped in. Handsome guy, good farmer, solid reputation in the village. He put his hand up. Easy now, young lady. Adoni turned and looked at him like he had lost his mind. Because you planted 3 yams, you think you can jump in when grown folks are talking. Go wash your face. You smell like bad decisions. The crowd gasped. The man retreated, embarrassed. Adoni got her change, let out a long, slow hiss, and stomped out of that market, kicking a stray chicken clean out of her path. And right about now, I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, this woman is exactly like somebody I know. Drop their name in the comments. First, name only. We will not be starting any drama today. But here is the thing about Adoni. She had no friends, only victims. Her own mother spent her days going door to door, apologizing to the neighbors, crying, Lord knows where this child got this spirit. Please just forgive her. Now, 3 days after that market scene, the town crier beat his gong. All through Yosola, hear ye, the great King Adami, the tiger of Yosola, is ready to choose his queen. The whole village erupted because King Adami was everything. Young, strong, wealthy. The kind of king that made older women look at their daughters and start calculating. But for the past year, something was off with the king. His first wife had passed, and grief had hollowed him out. His eyes, once bright and sharp, had gone cloudy. He was losing weight, losing sleep, losing his fire. The royal physician said it was stress. The villagers said it was the weight of the arms, crown. But the council of chiefs, they had their own diagnosis and their own prescription. Kabiesi, Chief Atun leaned forward, his voice smooth as motor oil. You need a wife, someone soft, someone to bring peace back into this palace. A woman like Faki, gentle, malleable, she will give you rest. The king sat on his throne, fingers slowly tapping the armrest. He looked at his chiefs. He looked at his guards. He looked at the servants bowing so low. Their foreheads were practically touching the floor. And he said just one word. Peace. Said it like it tasted bitter. The day of the selection came, and the palace courtyard was packed. Maidens from 7 different villages, dressed in their Sunday best, beads, a shining, fabric pressed. They danced, they cooked, they answered questions about tradition and etiquette, with perfectly practiced answers. Faki was flawless. She knelt like a flower bowing in the wind. She spoke about unity and submission. The crowd went crazy for her. And then Adoni walked in. Her mama had basically dragged her there. She wore a simple dress, no extra effort, no performance. She looked, honestly, like she would rather be anywhere else on earth. Chief Balog leaned forward with the smug energy of a man who already knew how this was going to go. Tell me, young woman, what would you do if the king made you angry? He expected the usual answer. I would kneel. I would pray. I would ask for forgiveness. Adoni looked at him, like he had just said the dumbest thing she had heard all week. Is the king God? If he makes me angry, I will tell him he made me angry. If he is being foolish, I will tell him he is being foolish. A wife is a partner, not a piece of furniture. The courtyard went dead silent. Chief Atun shot up from his seat. Abomination. Remove her. Someone. Flog this girl for disrespect. Wait! The king's voice landed like a blade hitting stone. He stood, walked slowly down from the throne, stood in front of Faki, who gave him her best smile. Then he walked to Adoni, who stood there, hands on her hips, chin up, not scared, not performing, just present. The king looked her dead in the eye. So you would tell the king he is foolish. Adoni did not even blink. If the crown fits, wear it. But if the head underneath is empty, the crown is going to fall. And then, for the first time in 2 years, King Adami smiled. A real smile. Not a royal smile. Not a performance. A real one. He turned to face the crowd. I have made my choice. The new queen of Yosola is Adoni. The silence that followed was louder than thunder. Chief Balog passed out cold. Adoni's own father collapsed. Even Adoni looked shocked. She looked at the king like, Me, you, the king said. Prepare for the wedding. Now I want to pause, right here, because somebody is watching this. Somebody right now has been told they are too much, too direct, too loud, too honest. And I want you to keep watching, because what happens next is for you. Drop in the comments where you are watching from tonight, whether that is your living room, your porch, or that one chair in the bedroom. Only you know about. The village was convinced. Adoni had used juju. She washed her face with some spiritual water. She must have put something in that man's food. But the wedding happened, and Adoni became Queen Adoni. And true to herself, she did not change one single bit. First morning as queen, the royal head cook, a big man who had served 3 kings, brought breakfast to the royal dining room, pounded yam, goat meat soup, a spread that had been the royal recipe. For 50 years, Adoni walked in, sniffed the air. Who cooked this? The cook puffed up his chest. My queen. This is the royal recipe, served for half a century. Adoni dipped one finger in the soup, tasted it, and spit it out on the expensive palace rug. This tastes like betrayal, and way too much salt. Are you trying to put my husband in the hospital? Nobody cooks for the king except me. Get out. She chased that man out of his own kitchen with a wooden spoon. The king watched the whole thing from the doorway, completely silent. He ate her food later, simple, hot, cooked with real hands and real care. He slept better that night than he had in months. Week 2, Adoni walked in on the royal maids, gossiping and barely cleaning, just moving dust from one corner to another. She grabbed a broom herself. This is how you clean. I catch one speck of dust on that windowsill. You will be cutting grass from here to the next county. Then she got into the royal account books, and what she found stopped her cold. The royal treasurer was purchasing soap at 10 times the market price. She grabbed that man by his collar, walked him straight into the king's court, threw the ledger at him, the king's feet. Kabiesi, this man is a thief. He says he bought 1 bar of soap for 10,000. Is this soap washing away sins? Sack him today. The evidence was right there in black and white. The treasurer was done. The chiefs hated her. The palace staff was terrified of her. But the king was gaining weight. His skin was glowing. His laughter was coming back, filling those palace hallways again. And that is exactly what made the chiefs lose their sleep. Because Adoni had shut down every single pipeline, every ghost contract, every inflated invoice, every backroom handshake. She had dried up their river. One night, behind the royal stables, Chief Otun and Chief Balog huddled in the dark. We cannot go on like this, Otun whispered. She is not a queen. She is a curse. If she finds the papers from the Western District land deals, we are finished. She will not find them, Otun said, his voice dropping to something cold and quiet. Because she will not be here. From the folds of his robe, he pulled out a small clay vial. He called it the silent sleep. No taste, no smell, dissolves perfectly in wine. It does not kill right away. No, that would be too obvious. First, it drives the victim mad. They tear their clothes, attack people around them, speak in tongues, and then the heart simply stops. Chief Balog looked at the vial, then looked at Otun. Who delivers it? They said the name at the same time, Faki. Now, let me tell you something about Faki, because she is not the villain here. Not exactly. She was a wounded woman. She genuinely believed that the crown belonged to her. And when Chief Otun came to her with a silver tongue, telling her the gods were angry, that the king was secretly begging to be free from Adoni's grip, that this little clay vial was just a truth potion. Ambition can make even a dove fly with hawks. The festival of the new yam was the biggest celebration of the year. Drums thundering, colors everywhere, the smell of roasted corn and fresh palm wine in the air. The king sat on his throne, looking every inch the ruler he was, and beside him, Adoni, in deep purple lace, headgear tied high, face like granite, not waving, not smiling, sitting like a judge, the village whispered. Even on a feast day, she looks like she bit into a lemon. Then Chief Otun gave the signal. Just a nod, barely visible. Faki stepped out from the line of dancers, golden goblet in hand, filled with param wine and death. She walked with perfect grace, knelt in front of the high table. Her voice rang out, sweet, melodious. My queen, the women of Yosola wish to honor you today. We know the burden is heavy. We know there has been tension. But today, we seek peace. Please accept this cup as a sign of our love. The crowd melted. What a good girl. God bless Faki. See how she humbles herself. Adoni looked at the goblet. Then she looked at the chiefs, who were smiling, just a little, too wide, and she slapped that goblet out of Faki's hands, wine flying across Faki's expensive outfit. "Are you out of your mind?" Adoni screamed. "You think I don't know the smell of hypocrisy? You have not greeted me one single time since I married the king. And today you bring wine." The crowd turned on her instantly. "She is wicked." Faki was just trying to be nice. The king stood up, his voice shaking with anger. "Adoni, that is enough. You have disgraced a guest in front of everyone. Apologize." And for the first time, people saw tears in Adoni's eyes, but she did not bow. "I will not apologize for refusing to die, Kabiesi. If you want a polite corpse, go marry one from the cemetery." And she walked out that night as the servants cleaned up the festival grounds. A young palace guard stood staring at the moon. A stray dog wandered in, found the wine puddle where the goblet had landed, and lapped it up. The guard watched, about to shoo it away. The dog froze, let out a sound, a high-pitched shriek that did not sound like any dog should ever sound. It started spinning, snapping at the air, attacked a wooden chair, bit clean into the wood until its gums bled, foamed at the mouth, eyes rolling back, and then one final convulsion, and it was gone. The guard looked at the dead dog, looked at the wine stain on the ground, looked at where the goblet had come from, and he ran. The king opened his chamber door. Tired, defeated, the guard fell to his knees, panting, "Kebiesi." The wine, the cup, the queen knocked over. A dog drank it. The dog went mad and died. The king stood completely still. Then he walked to the window and looked out at the night sky. He understood. If Adoni had been polite, if she had been gracious, if she had done what every single person in that courtyard expected her to do, she would be dead. Her bad character, the thing that had embarrassed him, his entire marriage, had just saved her life. He went to her chambers. She was packing her bags. "I am going back to my father's house," she said, still wiping her eyes. "I fight your enemies. I fight your staff. And you publicly humiliate me." "Adoni," the king said quietly. "Do not Adoni me. Go marry Faki. Let her be sweet, and let her bury you." The king laughed. He took the bag from her hands. "Sit down, my wife. I have something to tell you. 3 years ago," the king began, "my father died, not of old age. He was poisoned, slowly, carefully, by men who smiled at him every single day, chiefs who called him the Great Tiger. While they mixed venom into his evening tea, Adoni sat forward. I knew they were starting on me too." The king continued. "I could feel my strength leaving, but I was trapped. The palace runs on protocol. If I refuse a gift, I insult an entire clan. If I dismiss a chief without hard proof, I start a war. I was locked in a cage, made of politeness, so I went to the oracle, and the oracle told me, 'You are surrounded by men who smile while they sharpen their knives. The only person who can save you is a woman who fears no one, who wants no favor, and who has no filter.'" He looked at it. "Adoni, the day I saw you at that market, hollering at that woman for cheating you, I did not see a troublemaker. I saw my salvation." Adoni was quiet, for the first time in her life, completely speechless. She looked at him slowly. "So, that farmer, the one I shoved out of the way," the king nodded. "That was me. I did not marry you for peace. Adoni, I married you for war." The next morning, the king summoned the entire village. Chief Otun and Chief Balog stood at the front, smug, certain. Convinced this was the moment the king would announce he was done with the wicked queen. King Adoni sat on his throne, Adoni beside him, not smiling. People of Yosola, he began. Yesterday, a great crime was committed. Chief Otun stepped forward. Yes, Kabiesi, the queen disgraced us. She should be punished. Silence. The king's voice hit different that morning. Guards, bring the evidence. They brought in the dead dog. This animal drank the wine that was offered to my queen. He looked directly at Faki. Faki, we saved the goblet. Would you like to take a sip? Right now. If your heart is pure, the wine will be sweet. Faki's knees buckled. She hit the ground weeping. It was Chief Otun. He forced me. He said he would burn my father's business. He gave me the poison. Chief Otun turned to run. Guards seized him. Chief Balog tried to disappear into the crowd. Adoni pointed one finger. Hold that one. He is the one who hired the corrupt treasurer. I watched them behind the stables. And just like that, the whole thing came undone. The smiling men were exposed. The chiefs were banished forever. Faki was sent to work the royal farms 5 years to learn the value of honest work. And Yosola changed. Adoni was still Adoni, still loud, still calling out vendors at the market, still walking heavy, still telling the truth when the truth was not pretty. But the village stopped calling her the terror. They called her the Iron Lily because they finally understood kindness without truth is just deception dressed up pretty. Sometimes you need a bitter pill to cure what is killing you. Years later, King Ademi and Queen Adoni sat on the palace balcony, watching their children play. The boy was out there, arguing with a palace guard about the rules of a game, refusing to back down. The king laughed. That boy is just like you. Adoni sipped her palm wine. Good. The world has enough sheep. He is going to be a lion. And that is the truth. That shocked everyone. That sometimes the person whom everybody told you to avoid, because they are too hard, too real, too much, is the only person who loved you enough to never lie to your face. The nice ones would have buried him. The difficult woman saved his life. Now, before you go, think about somebody in your life. Somebody everyone told you was too rough, too blunt, too difficult, and ask yourself, have they ever actually lied to you? Drop yes or no in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story hit different tonight, if it made you see something or someone in a new light, hit that subscribe button, because we tell these stories every single week. Stories that flip what you thought you knew. Stories that stay with you. This is Lonya Tales, where the truth is always worth hearing, even when it stings.